So for the very last part of our lesson today, we're going to focus on something called the Pythagorean Theorem. It kind of wraps everything together and puts an equation with our learning. Our essential learning will be the same. I can find a missing side length of a right triangle. Okay, so unfortunately we are not the first ones that have discovered this relationship in right triangles. There was a person named Pythagoras, who was a Greek philosopher who actually came up with this relationship with the side lengths in right triangles. And so the Pythagorean theorem is very well known. And if you ask your older siblings or parents what they know about the Pythagorean theorem, they're often going to tell you an equation. So that equation uses all three side lengths, side A, side B, and the hypotenuse C. Remember, A and B are the legs. The Pythagorean theorem says A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So that's normally what is most familiar to people. However, if I just gave you that to begin with and never showed you the areas, you wouldn't make conceptual understanding about it. And hopefully the process that we went through, this will stick in your head a little bit longer than just an equation. So just know that A and B are the legs and C is the hypotenuse. We've already gone over the bottom two parts here, so when C is unknown or when B is unknown. So now we're just going to quickly look at what happens if we don't have a diagram. So we are going to skip the first two examples up here because we've already done enough of those in this lesson. And we're just going to look at the bottom two here. So for the first one, they tell us A is 6 and B is 9. Now because A and B are the legs, I know I have two legs here. So I'll set up my equation, A squared, which is 6 squared, plus B squared, which is 9 squared, equals C squared. I go ahead and evaluate 6 squared, which is 36, plus 9 squared, which is 81. That'll equal C squared. Add 36 and 81, which is 117. That's C squared. Remember, that's the area of the hypotenuse. And last step, I want to know just C, so I take the square root. The square root of 117 is about 10.8. So C, the hypotenuse, equals 10.8. Remember, the hypotenuse should be longer than both of the legs. 6 and 9 is shorter than 10.8, so we're good. The next one, it says B equals 2 and C equals 10. So I can tell that I have one leg, B, and the hypotenuse, C. So I'm going to set up my equation here. A squared. We don't know what A is, so I'll leave it as A. Plus B squared, which is 2 squared, equals C squared, which is 10, so 10 squared. Go ahead and evaluate 2 squared. 2 squared is 4. 10 squared is 100. And I'm going to bring down A squared. Okay, now I need to solve for A. So remember, if I know the total and I have part of the area, take away 4 from both sides. So 100 take away 4 is 96, which is what A squared, the A leg square area, equals. I want to know just A though, so I take the square root. The square root of 96 is about 9.8. So there you have learned the Pythagorean theorem. Now most of you should be pretty proficient and able to do it without a diagram by the end. If you still have to use a diagram, that is okay, but just know that to make it a little bit shorter, you can always use the equation as long as you have that understanding behind it.